At my baby shower, my sister cackled loudly over the cake table, shouting, "I only came here to make sure she fails." I called CPS 3 times just to scare her. I stood frozen, gifts half unwrapped in my lap, as the guests whispered in horror. She thought she was being funny, until the CPS worker who had quietly been invited as a guest walked over, identified herself, and informed my sister she had just confessed to filing fraudulent claims, on record, in front of 60 witnesses. She was escorted out screaming, while I sat smiling and cut the cake. I still don't know how I stayed in my seat when it happened. I don't know how I didn't scream or cry or throw the whole cake table over. I just sat there, holding a half-unwrapped diaper bag on my lap, with my hands shaking and my stomach tight, as my sister laughed louder than anyone ever should at a baby shower. My name's Rachel. I'm 29, live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It's about 40 minutes outside Nashville. My husband Shane and I have been through a lot to get to this point. I was pregnant, finally, after 2 miscarriages and a lot of prayers. This baby, our baby boy, was everything to us. We didn't have much money, but my best friend Naomi and her husband rented a small event hall for the baby shower. We decorated it ourselves. Blue tablecloths, paper lanterns, and homemade cupcakes. It wasn't Pinterest perfect, but it was ours. Most of the people who came were from church or family friends. But then there was Dana, my sister. Dana's 5 years older than me and has hated me for as long as I can remember. Growing up, she was always wild. Got caught stealing from gas stations, lied all the time, brought home different guys every month. I wasn't perfect, but I stayed out of trouble. I worked hard, helped our mom after dad died, kept to myself.
Dana hated that.
She always said I was the favorite and called me Little Miss Perfect with venom in her voice. When I told her I was pregnant, she didn't even say congratulations. She just rolled her eyes and said, "Good luck with that." Then the CPS visit started. First time was on a Tuesday afternoon. I was cleaning out the baby's room when someone knocked. It was a woman with a badge. She said someone had reported me for possible drug use while pregnant. I was stunned. I told her I didn't even take Tylenol unless I had to. She looked around the apartment, asked me a few questions, and left. I felt dirty after that, like someone had thrown mud on my name. It happened again a week later, then again 2 weeks after that. 3 visits in 5 weeks. Each time, I cooperated. Let them in, answered every question. I cried after everyone. Shane wanted to get a lawyer, but we didn't have the money. I started locking every cabinet and throwing out anything that could be misread. I was terrified they'd find something wrong, even if I hadn't done anything. I told Naomi I had a feeling it was Dana. She didn't want to believe it. Neither did I. But deep down I knew. The baby shower was on a Sunday. It was sunny out, and I tried to push everything aside to enjoy it. I wore a flowy dress and even curled my hair. Shane was there helping, and everyone seemed happy. Naomi had made a big sign that said, "Welcome baby Elijah," and there were cupcakes and punch, even a diaper raffle. Dana showed up late, like always. She walked in wearing tight red pants and a mesh shirt. You could see her black bra underneath. Everyone stared. She walked right over to the table, grabbed a cupcake, and started talking loud about how boring everything was. I ignored her. I tried to stay focused on opening gifts. People gave us clothes, bottles, diapers, wipes, so much support. I felt loved. For about 20 minutes, everything was peaceful. Then Dana walked over to the cake table, grabbed a fork, stabbed a piece of cake, and laughed so loud it made everyone jump. "I only came here to make sure she fails," she yelled. I called CPS on her 3 times. Told them she was smoking weed while pregnant. She laughed like it was the funniest thing in the world. Some people chuckled nervously, thinking maybe it was a bad joke. But she kept going. They actually showed up at her place. You should have seen her face. I had them convinced she was getting high every day. I couldn't move.
Couldn't speak.
I felt like someone had poured ice water down my spine. My face went numb. The room was dead silent. Dana looked around, waiting for someone to laugh with her. "Come on, y'all. Don't look so serious. It was a prank. That's when Melanie stood up. She'd been sitting in the back, quiet the whole time. She wore jeans and a denim jacket, and I didn't think anything of her. I thought she was one of Naomi's friends. But then she pulled out a badge. My name is Melanie Brooks. I work for Child Protective Services here in Rutherford County. The air left the room. I was invited to this event by Ms. Cartwright, she said, pointing toward me. And I just heard a public confession of filing false CPS reports, which is a violation of state law. Dana laughed again, but it sounded nervous now. You're kidding, right?
No.
Filing false reports is harassment. It's illegal. You just confessed in front of at least 60 people. Dana turned toward me. What the hell is this? Are you serious right now? Melanie didn't back down. You've interfered with an active investigation, and you've misused state resources. The reports caused unnecessary stress and took attention away from real cases. There are consequences for that. Someone had already called the cops. When they showed up, Dana tried to leave. She grabbed her purse and started toward the door, but 2 officers stopped her. She screamed, "I didn't do anything wrong. This is insane. You can't arrest me at a baby shower." They handcuffed her right in front of the cake table. She started shouting, calling me names, bitch, whore, liar. One of the officers told her to calm down or they'd add charges. They let her out while she was still screaming.
I just sat there, silent.
Then I picked up the knife and cut the cake. People didn't know what to do. Some clapped. Others just stared. Naomi came over and whispered, "I'm so sorry." Shane kissed the top of my head and said, "She's not ruining today." But in that moment, she didn't. I felt relief. I felt vindicated. And for the first time in months, I felt safe. After Dana got arrested, I thought maybe, just maybe, that was the end of it. That she'd finally face the consequences and leave me alone. But I was wrong. The next few days were quiet. CPS officially closed my file. Melanie called me personally to say the agency had flagged Dana in their system for filing false claims, and if she ever tried it again, they'd pursue even harsher charges. I slept easier that week than I had in months. Then the phone call started. Blocked numbers.
Hang up.
Breathing. Then finally, a voice I knew too well. "You think you've won?" Dana hissed into the phone one night while I was folding baby clothes. "You're not safe. You humiliated me." I hung up and blocked the number, but the next day I got an email. Then another. Then a message through a fake Facebook account that had a picture of a baby coffin. I went straight to the police. They added it to the case file, but said unless I could prove she was behind it, their hands were tied. Dana made a fake Twitter pretending to be me. She posted horrible things, racist, disgusting stuff. A few people from my church messaged me, asking if my account had been hacked. I reported it, but it took days to come down. And then came the worst part. Someone left a dead bird in our mailbox. No note. Just the bird, stiff and cold. Its neck twisted. Shane found it. He didn't say anything. Just brought it to me in a plastic bag and said, "We're getting cameras. Today." I was already paranoid. Now I couldn't sleep. I kept checking the baby's room. I started keeping a baseball bat by the door. I jumped every time a car pulled into the lot. I filed for a restraining order. It was granted, but serving her wasn't easy. Dana had moved in with a guy she barely knew, some drunk who lived on the edge of town. It took the sheriff 3 tries to find her. But once she was served, I thought maybe she'd back off. Instead, she took it to Facebook. She made post after post claiming I was lying, that I was jealous of her, that I faked the whole thing to get attention. Some people believed her. A few even commented things like, "You should be ashamed, Rachel, and CPS doesn't investigate unless there's a reason." One post said, "She had a miscarriage last year and now wants sympathy. Maybe she's not stable enough to be a mom." That one made me throw up. But then Naomi sent me screenshots, dozens of them. People had started defending me. One person wrote, "I was at that shower.
We heard you say it.
You're the one who should be ashamed." Another wrote, "There was a CPS agent there. You confessed. You can't gaslight your way out of this. Still, Dana didn't stop. She started showing up near my apartment. I saw her car parked across the street twice. Shane caught her standing by the mailboxes one evening, pretending to check someone else's mail. When he yelled at her to leave, she laughed and drove off. We moved in with Naomi for 2 weeks. I couldn't risk anything happening before the baby was born. But while we were staying there, Naomi got a letter. No return address. Inside was a printout of a positive STD test with her name typed on it and a note that said, "Shane's been cheating. Maybe you should get tested too." She was shaking when she brought it to me. "You don't think she's trying to ruin everything?" I said. "Not just me. Anyone close to me." Shane was furious. "I'm getting a lawyer. We're pressing charges." But Dana had already found her next move. She filed for emergency custody of my baby. She went to family court and claimed that I was unfit, that I had a history of mental illness, drug use, and had endangered my unborn child. She even forged some kind of letter that looked like it was from CPS. I was 9 months pregnant and sitting in a courtroom trying not to collapse from the stress. Melanie showed up again. She testified in my favor.
So did Naomi. So did Shane.
The judge was disgusted. Not only did he throw out Dana's petition, but he put a note in the file that she was never to contact or seek custody of my child without court-ordered psychiatric evaluation. I thought that would finally be the end. Then I went into labor. My labor started just after midnight. I was already exhausted, barely sleeping from all the stress. I woke up to a sharp pain that didn't go away. Shane grabbed the hospital bag, helped me into the car, and we headed to Ascension St. Thomas in Murfreesboro. 12 hours later, Elijah was born. 8 pounds, 5 ounces.
Healthy. Perfect.
For a few hours, it felt like none of the chaos had ever touched us. Just me, Shane, and Elijah in a quiet hospital room. I cried holding him, finally letting go of everything I'd been carrying. The pain, the fear. Then the nurse came in with a strange look on her face. "There's a woman in the waiting area," she said. "She says she's your sister. She's demanding to see the baby." Shane stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "No," I said. "She's not allowed near us. There's a restraining order." The nurse nodded slowly. "We thought something was off. She tried to say she was listed on your emergency contact sheet." "I never listed her. We didn't think so. Security's on their way." Shane walked out to make sure they kept her away. When he came back 20 minutes later, he looked like he wanted to break something. "She was screaming in the hallway," he said, "yelling about how the baby was hers. That you stole him from her. Said you used witchcraft." My skin went cold. "She's lost it," I whispered. Shane nodded. "They banned her from the building.
Permanently.
But she's not done." He was right. When we got home, there were roses on our doorstep. Not sweet baby boy flowers. Blood red ones. No note. Then Naomi got a message from a friend in Nashville. "Hey, isn't your friend Rachel the one with the crazy sister?" the message said. Attached was a screenshot of a Craigslist ad titled, "Baby for Sale, Murfreesboro." The ad had Elijah's birthday.
The wait.
A blurry photo I'd posted to Facebook that morning. Someone had pulled the image and made it look like we were trying to sell our newborn. I nearly passed out. We called the police. Again. They traced the post to a burner IP address. Couldn't prove it was Dana. But we knew. Everyone knew. Then came the welfare check. 2 officers showed up at our apartment 5 days after we brought Elijah home. Someone had called 911 saying they heard a baby crying for hours with no adult present. Claimed I'd left him alone to go get drugs. The officers were kind. They apologized as soon as they saw Elijah sleeping peacefully in his crib, a monitor running, bottles washed and stacked. One officer said, "We've dealt with this kind of thing before. Someone's targeting you." They added notes to their system. I filed another report. I started getting chest pains at night. My hands would go numb. The doctor said it was anxiety. Told me I needed rest. How do you rest when someone is trying to destroy your life? Dana went silent after that for a bit. A full week. No calls. No messages.
No hay Teams.
Then I got a voicemail from a woman I didn't know. Her voice was shaky.
I
don't know how to say this. I found your number in a group Dana was part of. I don't want to get involved, but I think you need to know. She's trying to find someone to take your baby. She offered me money to help her reclaim her nephew. She said you're unstable and unfit, and she has a plan. I didn't want any part of it. I'm reporting her too. I saved the voicemail.
Send it to the police.
Called Melanie. Called our lawyer. We filed for a full no-contact order, not just for me, but for Elijah too. The judge approved it. This isn't just harassment, he said. It's delusion. It's dangerous. But Dana hadn't made her last move yet. 2 weeks later, someone broke into our apartment. It was a Sunday afternoon. Shane had taken Elijah for a walk around the block, so I could nap. I was in the middle of folding laundry when I heard the door click. Not knock, click. I froze. Then I heard the door open. I grabbed the baseball bat from behind the hallway door and crept out. I saw her immediately.
Donna.
She was inside my living room. Her hair was wild, eyes bloodshot, holding a pillow in one hand and something shiny in the other. She didn't see me at first. She walked toward Elijah's empty crib. I'm taking him, she whispered. He doesn't belong here. I didn't think. I ran forward and swung the bat as hard as I could. It hit her in the shoulder. She screamed and dropped the pillow and the shiny thing's scissors. I screamed louder than I ever had in my life. Get out of my house. She tried to run, but I blocked the door. She shoved me, scratching my arm deep with her nails. I hit her again in the back. This time she collapsed, sobbing, "You don't deserve him. You don't." Shane burst in a minute later, Elijah in his stroller behind him. He saw her on the floor and pulled out his phone. The cops arrived 6 minutes later. They arrested Dana right there, barefoot and bleeding. She was charged with attempted kidnapping, breaking and entering, and violation of a restraining order. The officer who took her away said, "I've seen a lot, but this is one for the books." At her arraignment, her public defender tried to claim she was mentally unwell, that she needed help, not prison. But the judge had seen enough. Dana was sentenced to 4 years in state prison. She screamed all the way out of the courtroom, shouting that I'd poisoned everyone against her, that Elijah was her second chance. I sat there, my hands shaking. Shane had to help me stand. I didn't feel victorious. I felt hollow, like some part of me had rotted and fallen away. The fallout came fast. My mom, who had always tried to defend Dana, finally cut ties with her too. "You were right," she said through tears. "I just didn't want to believe my daughter could become this." I started therapy.
So, did Shane.
We got a full security system installed, moved to a new apartment across town, changed our numbers. I shut down all social media for 6 months. Elijah turned 1 last week.
He's happy.
Laughs a lot. Healthy as can be. Sometimes, late at night, I still get scared when the wind rattles the windows. But I hold my son tighter and remind myself we survived. Dana tried to break me. Tried to tear my life apart, piece by piece. She thought no one would stop her. She thought it was all a game. But in the end, the only life she destroyed was her own. And I was finally free.